And sometimes when you go to court, the demeanor of the judge, what you go through, officially processes or court, frustrations. It's not easy. It's not easy just to go to court. It is sometimes when you don't have a clear-cut case, you wouldn't want to send a client to court because it's very frustrating. But when you are done with the case, then eventually court mark judgment, you feel very proud of yourself. Because upon all the time that you spend in the courtroom, all the processes, calls from clients, you eventually see there at least there's something good that has come out from your efforts. It's not like that. It's not easy.
I must say, courts no court boa doing kasa in a winning case. I remember I read something about. I watched a video of a lawyer be or USA. You say, "Assembly were dear one who panel." So there was a case. Okunyo said the client no edifo. Okumubi. But the other lawyer no end me and defend the case ni. I'm on because of what. Or you good argument to me defend the money pana with the boneno edibem.
Well, it's like that. Sometimes that's what the lawyers will tell you. Technicalities are very important in what we do, and sometimes the more.
Abusama mo ka ba kase pa biu aha say daily gossips ene krofo ho nsem 247 ene e betena be so na afi yama ho de ekọ de aba wo social media so medin GH gossipa abusua ene ye ni nkomo na Zion Felix edin nkomo bi ewo eye video we mu interview bi wa grant ye na Daddy Lumba na yire na mo ho nsensem abepiem Daddy Lumba so ho nsensem abepiem court case nsensem enso ewo video mu mepe se ye bekọ na yekobo ye ne yadwa na afi ye ntie nsem yedin se akora yegu na duane so na afi tie nsem a ekoso ewo video mu area ye beto aso na afi ye de ma ase aye daily gossip ene first abe share video dia mo bi na obi so a share e dia mo bi yenti bimba
time that you spend in the courtroom, all the processes, calls from clients, you eventually see there at least there's something good that has come out from your efforts. It's not like that. It's not easy.
I must say, courts no court boa doing kasa in a winning case. I remember I read something about. I watched a video of a lawyer be or USA. You say, "Assembly were dear one who panel." So there was a case. Okunyo said the client no edifo. Okumubi. But the other lawyer no end me and defend the case ni. I'm on because of what. Or you good argument to me defend the money pana with the boneno edibem.
Well, it's like that. Sometimes that's what the lawyers will tell you. Technicalities are very important in what we do, and sometimes the more now we are human, it is the more now we acquire quite a lot of experience. The same thing applies to any profession. As a lawyer, sometimes Uchimiko court, you see say, okay, now one any sounds but on technical grounds. And of course, it does happen. We've won cases like on so many occasions on technicalities. Once you have a basis technically, so this one you can easily win on technical grounds. Sometimes you might not even be interested in a substantive case because you know that what technical base are which mean they are winning case in court, and it does happen so many times. It happens so many times. And so when it comes to criminal case, sometimes police report to me, prosecutors to me, errors be it ignores to the advantage of your client. And sometimes you just keep quiet and then take advantage of that. It's true. Because if you know the only case, but on technical score, this is something that can help you to win your case. What they show more troops is that when you're, until eventually last minute you just explode. Oh, you see, one thing personally I have come to realize and say most people. I remember those days when I came from law school, we university, I started MA law. That time, Lady Biana me no Asia, my sister no me business. Lawyer. Oh, who me ultimate share me say about to me kasa. And I'm saying one time I was up on me didn't come out. Then I gave myself up. Me then didn't know business. I don't know. Ejuma be brave we are seeing many Biana law na person me. I'm saying I don't know business. I say yes, lawyers. Move ye butumo. What I say? Now, I just sounded here, but law. Sometimes when you get a problem, I say we talk for the voiceless because when you problem now call court now need lawyer sometimes it's very embarrassing. It may taking me time, and then it didn't come work a cry and I'm churching in there. My business to say sometimes it is not what you think. You do courtroom is about law and your morals na account court. Sometimes, of course, and there might be morality in law 8 mission. For instance, Obi FA or Ghana leg criminally and your criminal offense. It is not a criminal offense, but only chrono to me a child damage or court. They be a friend or a friend, but it's not a crime. It is a via what would be say be a ukuna and answer or you're a new BS and now ukuna the law, deal with you. Or we that say Obana be mana ukuni chrono. It is not a crime. What I say? Adultery is not a crime in Ghana. What you mean Kobe just because they be out here and I say ukunu ni obi on why ordinance marriage or obi fufra. No, it is not an offense. It's once you take the law into your own hands and then deal with the person, because it is not an offense. By your traditional setup, okophobia, a serious haram, a crime can say or traditional setup. By embramu no sanity. Enti edru baby emrano any morals Asia. By Drew so embrane morals Asia. But once we are in the courtroom, it is about the law. It is not about morals. That's why we say the law, you call law court, you can call morals court. Okay. That is how it is. Okay. And see, lawyers, there are so many pastors who are lawyers. It drew law, we deal with the law. It drew church room, we deal with the church room. That's how it is.
But at times, we look up and also finding where we be different clients. Also,
well, you see, and now I say yes, swear. Yes, you swear an oath to defend all manner of persons, whether it's a criminal. Who is a criminal? Will be a criminal and a court are convicting based on the evidence at the court. And to say, you be now the no court are you no we are suspect. You do could do courtroom. We are accused person. You already facts to you. I'm what take you plea. Plea means that if you are Obaka say udi for and answer undi for. That's your plea. Once they read the facts to you. Now we can say undi for. I was say or minor quadruple for that is the state prosecutors. Now was on Monday dance ABI who here at the back court. Ebi bua for sampa. Way that very day. When now yeah. And once you find my court, you go. It does not necessarily mean that own your offense, and I don't commit that particular offense. That is how it is. It's you do courtroom. Once a client comes to you, or as a lawyer, and maybe a murder case, and as a rape, a ban saying. Then you tell the lawyer what it is. Because information be now only lawyer and a privileged information. The lawyer cannot go to court and then tell the judge, my lord, my client no confess it to me, say, on a committed that offense. It's professional misconduct. And or ban on you being a privileged information. If you think that based on the information our client and other amount, which means leading you to court, you will withdraw from the case. Then you go and then look for another lawyer.
Okay.
That is
how
you just withdraw. And they tell him, say, Ibia won't mean into a different lawyer. But you don't go to court to say, Ibia, Asemna Okachemino, my lord, this is what he came to tell me at my office. It is not done like that. Yeah.
Do we need lawyer only when we are in when we are in trouble, or we need lawyer at all times?
You see, what I've personally come to realize for the last 12 years of my practice as a lawyer is at any step, like I said, law is a living science. At any step of your life, whether it's transaction, you need a lawyer's advice. Also, we seek for the advice. Now, lawyer not sure some part. They are legal and I say legal, and I say, wait, these are the benefits, these are the consequences. After say you are done with the transaction. But normally in Ghana, and for every transaction, it is only when issues are bad, normal engage a lawyer. No, ideally, no. You must involve your lawyer right from the onset, so that the lawyer will guide you as to what you should do. So that's there wouldn't be any problem, because once there's a lawyer never guide you. I'm one who say we never say before we get to the end of the transaction. But you don't just go and then deal with the transaction. It is only when there's a problem. Oh, one thing I personally, but in recent times, is most people enter properties. Land, because land is everything. Because obeye Japadia, obeye Bibia is about land. And Crawford to me, acquire transactions, billions of dollars, millions of cedis. Land documents, not mine. Basa. Now, as I speak to you, the new Land Act, That is Act 1036. Emane ye she say asase bia woto anase any property bia woto whether say fie once you see asase so no documents now when you need a lawyer to do the land documents for you. But what do we see? And Crawford call commissioner for oath, letter writers. Normally those transactions no normally they are more. When you get a problem, now you could do quarter. Me normally, me share all land documents now me say me was a letter writer, commissioner for oath, and as a man kasa personally. Now I make kasa last minute. First all the baby dia dance and I'm raising issues with it. Once the court rejects your documents, automatically what lose your case. Because every transaction we are a fast as from beyond the manager say it was said it must be evidence in writing. Was up unya hon krata chesampa what was assassin say when ya document say assassin way what of resimesi and I say abusunya way and I say stew way in China technically no what lose your case on that score. Not because ebia when ya document but because when ya only cry or say manager say on your land documents and farm until you lose on that score. Into what I would advise, and they say, yeah, bread and a unyesika, millions of dollars, millions of cedis, okoto property, I don't rush. Engaged lawyers for them to advise you. When you, or transaction now we about green, you get a lawyer to draft your documents for you. That's all.
But lawyer, Robert Twene and AD Nkumo. So, if I say we for private lawyer,
yes.
Now, because chairman lawyer, such a lawyer, no. Is he on the payroll of the person or only when or executive ejuma?
Well, it depends. It depends on the arrangements. Only private person and a lawyer now. Sometimes wait me like okay, maybe within a year, measure this amount, and pay me this before we start. Then you put only the year and share because normally once there are more year and share ideally it is better some virtual. So that's what be able to say when I was say me my lawyer we and I was say me lawyer and so me. So that's a obia on your party to the document offer document or say okay these are the arrangements only a lawyer are concerning your own affairs. That's what I say. And see if you're able to do that I'm more agree who say these are the things that you do straight away you are into business.
Robert Twene lawyer Ben you go specializing in one particular field.
Yes. But in Ghana, it's very. I'm a general practitioner, and I do criminal cases. I do, civil cases, civil litigation, matrimonial cases, BBI, everything. Because I'm a general practitioner, and I've been doing this for the last 12 years. So I'm into everything. Unless maybe I decide that this particular case, If I decide not to do it, fine. But apart from that, I'm a general practitioner.
Also, you need to be including matrimonial and family cases. I'll be back after the break. Me bar. When the lawyer, a bit in Kumana Kasana, I was saying the number say you and not be about a law near Yakasa System Sembia. A bit me a boy before we go into the real issue. My name is Zai Felix from Sunyane, and I'm a lawyer, a D a Nkumo.
We are back bringing you the latest lineup from Betway. Betway starts strong with their front two with Free Play Friday and Swipe Bet. In the middle, you've got all the control with Cash Out and Build a Bet. Plus, with Win Boost, you can boost your sports bet. At the back, they have Smart Picks and the Partial Daily Jackpot.
You always get way more with Betway.
This
adverts have been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Bet responsibly. No under 18. Terms and conditions apply. Betway. Get way more.
I was already lawyer. Robert Twene and I Edin Komo 12 years as a lawyer. I think we're running 13th year and I was starting the 13 years. Lawyer was a gay anniversary.
Oh yeah.
And I enjoy 15 years.
We come back to Accra.
Okay. So I'll go back.
We do that. By ordinary we do. I'll leave you.
Because it's not easy to be a lawyer.
It's not easy. It's not.
School peace and say enough for.
It's not easy.
9 years in school. No joke. Now lawyer, you share a asem aba Akosuah that number the first wife out to Germany. The Abusa Penny and Odobroni and a transition home. I court meaning say who rich of some Libya. How do you see the issue? There will be much about a issue.
Generally, it's about a marriage and I lead you to these issues.
Yeah.
And in Ghana, no, you our I'm ready to know. The first one, if you are married, that is a customary marriage. na customary marriage na ye wo ordinance marriage na ye wo union kramofo de na 3 na first of all I'll pick them one after the other. Offer Ifiaware na, which is known by most of our traditional setup. Oware Oba and the Ifiaware Saware and Mremune because is potentially polygamous, meaning that we be mana ware Ifiaware, which we normally call the engagement system na, which me ware more women in addition to first wife na ware no. And in the me ibia me was CCA ma ware under Ifiaware meet me asanya ware biom aka ho. And I say wo Zion Felix o ware under that system obetimi ware more women. That's what the law is. Na no so no o ware it mean register or court many ye.
Oh sir.
Yes, you register it at the court, at the nearest district court many ye. And no entry say wa ware under ordinance. O register, what basically means is that it's for inheritance and succession. So that say ebi or china bi uni wa betimi hu zampa oba we ere. It's about the distribution of your estate. That woman and the children from her will have access to.
And you can still marry more than one.
Yes. That's
after
what,
going to the court to register that one.
What worry if you are you can marry more. Now, if you are now by ordinance marriage, no, that is what we call you marry under Cap 127 Matrimonial Causes Act. And no, worry a 1 man, 1 wife monogamous marriage. Untumi enkofa obabia anase bema bia enka ukuna anasa. Normally it is the men who are at fault. Because who make your attempt so worry another woman under Cap 127 there's an offense that a friend in bigamy. Police forbid me actual, I prosecute you. Because once you make an attempt to marry another woman, it's an offense under the laws of Ghana. And I know that most of these advanced countries is an offense. Under that law, no procedure will go through to get married a difficult kakra. Overcall kuhun register of the court. Normal publish it, something that we call bans. Bans nature say Obani be man baby mokwa sorry mo pese o mo ye aware no. Ye be the mobile call eko eyi mo akire ma sorry for say esimasi epese o mo ware. Now is there any person be or her or issue with that? Ada ye the mobile chire 3 times. You ever publish it notice for 3 months for some I think a month or so. Once the notices are published for that period,
our church
and a court, you be watch it. Until you get that stage anyway, that is the time obia or any issue between the two of us on person mobile ware and the ordinance. And that is the time that you raise that issue. One raise that issue and yet day na wedding no. And I say the ceremony na abeko court abeko premises where church say be man and I say obana obaware no kra ebi o ye me kanchima me na shashaware. We don't do that there. At that stage apahon oyes akra me amema ya show. Until at that stage you can't go and then do there at that facility. But normally what do we see?
About lawyer, what if your publication or church court no it is zabzugu or new me worry.
Once there's publication or court or for that number of period na emrana chere no one it is construed say it is notice to the whole world. And it is what may raise any issue with that am I settle that issue na or court or that's the end of it. It is obiba at that stage no be raise issue. That's what we call caveat. Obetimi be caveat to say ma or more court no go ahead say ombe put them together as husband and wife. Okay. It's court no be the asem no be give you evidence. Obi be give you evidence. Amaye hu sampa asem no ewo mu ana say enim court no be true off then they will go ahead and then do that. That's what it means. Now worry under that law so we are be certificate. The be certificate of marriage. That's under the Cap 127. The be certificate sampa muni afani afa ma ware mo ho a emra mu no yage ato no. And then church be also anything here. Is either you do at KMA and as a registrar general and as a specialized churches are more license to do that. It's normally I was all finding out as to whether say church no crampuna or more yes idea no cran or more license to do that. And as a registrar general between a special license to do it and no entry say if you are designated areas are you be no by a more special license to do it. And you have more time frame within which you have to do it. And if you don't do it, there's a problem with it. That marriage will be a nullity. And obu or worry under if you are to say the American kind or person or convert from if you are to ordinance, and also we go through the same process. Now, say o ware under ordinance if you ware na be man o pese o ko ware another marriage won't mean koye ordinance menim so otimasia
o di kan ye fie dia
o di kan ye oba bi ehun ade efie
na second marriage don't go court
o pese o ko hu wanya oba foforo na pese o ko ware ni bi man won't mean koye ordinance emra wunya o first one no I don't know menim so otimasia
say o di kan ware
what the kind of ware it's also your second marriage
so
which require ordinance you have to divorce before you can do that and she said oh emma ebia waware miensa and if you are now per se we ordinance marriage this so jami no manika baako as what me because one man one wife that's right
okay me ba
yes
and even say my court there
yes
when you court
yes
but say me koye obi fufuro one wade I mean koye court na fear is it possible
won't mean yes because once you marry under ordinance that is under 127 no won't mean contract any other form of marriage
with some people it is in your mind say
yes
court nko bit ma ware ba hope but if you dey we court we that can now
once waware under ordinance you can register or court that is under the ordinance marriage won't mean worry you open so worry you man what you need to do is this is what divorce previous one and so what mean worry you and see one man one wife won't mean and yeah that's how it is in the case of the issue now already and I walk in your which is also just like the traditional system but your main concern is the ordinance marriage now so if it is true say that the lumba worry under ordinance under marriage be similar to ours in Ghana ordinance marriage you could not contract another marriage what you mean contract any other marriage boom under anywhere I don't know meaning say what you could not have contracted any other marriage until any other marriage if it is true I'm choosing my words carefully because as it is many evidence be a say waware because what is before the court is a mere allegation what is yet to be proved a allegation a busrimuka until also ni chrono make it that allegation no echo court with evidence to prove to the court say ampa so they mean that the lumba worry under ordinance with Germany but what I say until if it is so said they have that marriage with Germany it becomes one man one wife you could not contract any other marriage it is a any other marriage that the lumba contract is a nullity by the law because foreign law is presumed to be the case it is a omawaro Germany na sana omumra is presumed to be that is the case as we have in Ghana until he could not have contracted any other marriage but say sana say me fan say there's no marriage between oni obia as a tesa na say we contracted this marriage it will be right but say if it was done under system it say yeah ordinance marriage e Ghana won't mean worry about bia e mani ye biom but it is why crampona is a nullity by law
okay
there is no marriage it is presumed say that marriage no exists cry ema enye
and yeba eno ho aso ka kantini yo amafo bu krum ha
yes
omo obey 4 wives
yes
omo trim no first wife no court
yes
no mo worry no and other 3 no if you are in to say right no wrong
it cannot be right because if it is the case worry under ordinance marriage court Ghana ha that's a when your baby it is on your wife let me put it that way on your
you come to a side chick
because whether what could fee after the court wedding no court marriage no what could abusian for who no any form of your friend is saying ceremonial it is not right it is not right the law does not recognize that
you ever say mini obabe worry
yes
me kase mini wona mo kase wona obabe e wo ho mo ya mo worry under court maybe about 2 years 3 years montem ho nka mo nye hwe da is that marriage still valid
you see Osha ye matrimonial causes act na ordinance marriage matrimonial causes act na kire wo kwan a so pese ugu court wedding na factors are court no ejina so ehwe one of them adultery another one say bani be man they have failed to live as husband and wife for 2 years and I said they have failed to live as husband and wife for 5 years and I said ebia omumu bako behave unreasonably and I said there is desertion you can say adultery me no nyina ya we say ebia one marry under ordinance marriage your body is to your husband, the man's body is to the wife. And so if at any point in time biano obano and as a bima any obafu for and as a bima for koda, me as a husband or a wife, I can sue you for breach of consortium, my right of consortium, because obody is I'm the only person who has access to your body. It is like if at any point in time, me know obafu for koda, me yere ebit me sue that lady no. Because we're breaching the right of consortium, vice versa.
Yes. So one before koda.
Yes.
Why it makes you also be see obafu for no
koda. Be see obafu for no because we're breaching the right of consortium.
But say nka obema no on contract on binding contract.
Say wo no and I'm say we binya access to me crew and as me body. We're breaching the right of consortium because you are not supposed to enjoy the body apart from me.
But lawyer say can you out me see no the nka no contract.
Na say me crew dey nya dey am dey no go court. Nti me see you.
Ah so.
Yes, because sometimes that enya name when you meet me aka jiro. What say I say? Nti that it no say me ebia ma yes say adultery. Me name me crew and I say only me crew nya that kind of affair. Na me sue for compensation for breach of consortium. That's a me jaya aware no mpo a. Me to me the obana be man na me yere and I say me crew nya sa agudie no aka case no. Emrana allows me to do that.
Okay.
And two, if you have failure to live as husband and wife for 2 years, if you have been 2 years in the month monka, and no, it depends on the circumstance. If you are point to me wait here. I know you can see that because you live as husband and wife for 2 years is a ground for divorce. Because me know kasa you be a home come if you economic situation and I could do a man for also. But say system say if you mental can be communication be in her. No maintenance, the BA in here there, and the Emrano Mammy Hong Emma may me a trigger processes, court no, and dissolving marriage, you know. Another process, and also failure to live as husband and wife for continuous 5 years. 5 years. Obiantin a young conquer. I mean, is a grounds for the court to dissolve the marriage. And I
dissolve no. Do you also 2 year president? Just one person can go.
No, you trigger over file a petition or court, or file a petition or court. Then we serve the other party. However, no say want to me enya only criteria because I only non communicating to know want to me nyana you will be a friend of solicitor service. Obekwa kwaje court order. Maya pisti court no be ma some circumstances be ama conditions be ama wa comply. Ebia obaga just post notice ewo daily graphic and I say for copy kobo notice board of the court and I say through the WhatsApp line of the person or any family member depending on the conditions that court in the debate. Once you comply with that, the court will trigger the processes and then go to the extent the member will give you evidence. Once you are able to go through all these conditions at court in the best amount, to the time at court in the give you evidence, now making orders. And I war another grounds that unreasonable behavior. Abia may know our sometimes you even deny me sex. That's unreasonable behavior because as a husband and a wife, once you marry, the marriage must be consummated and you must give your sex, you must give or partner her right or her conjugal right or say or sexy or partner. If you are doing all these things, or money, maintenance money, any other things, and there might be who abusing emotionally, physically, then on unreasonable grounds. Court to beat me, Agyeta to me say ampa. I break it beyond reasonable doubt. And then finally, a desertion. I can say desertion where I say ebia or banner and I say be man. But if you now want a matrimonial home, no, what you have for her, uni her, ebia only nam now chase other things and also your grounds you can say desertion ebi say ebia wo be man wo conduct be nso no and as oba no conduct be ama oba no and as ukuru no so atu afifie because oba o ne ye bia o ye wo ho no a man a peace of mind and the court will look at all those things and say our arrangement between the two of you it has broken beyond reconciliation it can grant divorce in respect of that. These are the only grounds that under ordinance marriage court to meet me are granted divorce. But one thing is under ordinance marriage me no area first 2 years by law unto me enco court say okosiki for divorce unless extreme cases are between me a court and say be mano and answer obano or abuse you know before now be file a petition or court no I was say be friend lawyers beg actually say leave permission from the court because by law was quite not self-file petition first 2 years of your marriage you can't do that and just say now could demonstrate check court and say ampa and now quite we are me and I said me edeme fashion and ya they say me to me aware into court no man ho kwan na file a petition e basa na court no man the opportunity to file the petition, then you can trigger the processes. Yes, that's how it is. There's another issue, and then the Mohammedan marriage. That is a union for there, and that's what you say the traditional way, the same thing, and it here. But one thing is, say, oh no, we're seeking for dissolution of a marriage. Every property be acquired over the period will be shared by the court. Will be shared by the court. By 50-50 principle. It depends on
what.
Yes.
Any property acquired whilst marriage together.
Yes.
I say whilst when the two of you did together.
No.
Also, you were but
yes.
me,
yes.
my baby.
Yes.
You know, it was a minimum.
Yes.
But the me no can want the minimum quiet.
You see, you can say properties are matrimonial properties are. You can properties are you acquired during the time of the marriage. It is a difference. Abia Zion Felix. Waware ono irete. Obiya is a big time YouTuber, have a lot of money. You've done A, B, C, D. If you make a or any juma or fee, or also na share kwada on a SCC fee, we don't know for on a CC fee. Who say, my wife has indeed shown my friends that I have a very good wife. On a show, those things. The law will take into consideration all these things that property is not my and you're not an amount of free mind to go about your daily activities. What you acquire all the properties within that space, it should be entitled to 50% of the property.
50%?
Yes.
So it's a safe feeling.
Yeah, it's 50-50. But you see, one thing normally I've also noticed is that to say they are from Papa Fona or show you can say as a bossy when it comes to affairs at the home.
Yeah.
And in the Bay Macro Sebi acquire well properties not my over the period, not on what you say, me the way my way. By law, willa, that's a properties now, channel. A matrimonial properties are. You are 50% that you are entitled is what you can will out. Yes, your 50% now you are entitled, no. That is what you can will out. Won't mean for the entire 100% of the properties, no can say, me the way. Well, yes, sir. You are going to, after your demise, you face a problem because there will be a litigation. If you are wife, will be a infant say or no property centered. Now, Obako court in interest say one interest 50%, and 50% of the properties end up between the archer, but not the entire 100%. However, say we are lucky. Maybe all the properties in the on any man I say there's no problem because nobody will go and challenge. But say why yes I say what the properties now outsiders because you can wear your properties wherever
you want.
Wherever you want. Until what the properties then come out and Crawford raising issues your will can be challenged in court.
To make sure say 50%
of course it is your 50% that you can will, not the entire 100%. Until we must all take notice of some of these things.
Lawyer chair, your man, lawyer, young call issue as a case study. Now you share a number 4 now Akosuah say here court no. I am on. First of all, let's make it clear.
Yes.
Say Akosuah say one case of the injunction 2 a year so.
Yeah.
Injunction a 2 per our case no say or the injunction 2 a year. Ebusapenyi say a man refer to Odobroni say oye kunafo.
Yeah.
And then again, or the injunction 2 Odobroni nakasa so say a man njame bia enkase oye kunafo. Any 2 injunctions our case name. And the first 2 Odobroni Akosuah Sewa sorry. Share court ne say first one say court and declare or no Akosuah Sewa say or no the living spouse of a year Charles Kojo for Suda Lumba.
Good. I'm picking one after the other. Okay. The first one, the issue I raise is a court no who say on the only surviving spouse of Daddy Lumba. First of all, no, to say the American, all those things now were indicating the process rate in our file or court allegations. And she has to go to court to go and improve. Want to me improve the court will not grant those the issues now or can was no. Now it was said we have to make sure that as it is, I don't know whether an injunction application has been filed or not. I can't speak to that because what I've seen rate no number but normally by law there's a Supreme Court decision I just say when a person goes to court, say may know issues now me call court. Whether the court has granted an injunction or no injunction, no. The very things now me complaining about, and I'm saying me person court no, you can't proceed. Until either or more granting injunction or no injunction, you cannot proceed.
So Metiasia,
yes,
it's our 2 injunctions now or cannot or won't mean trust one yet.
Reliefs now or seeking for no or court no and number 4 now or butcher Mrs. no. Whether the court has, I don't know, as it is, I don't know whether, because me who is only a copy of the writ and I'm home.
Yeah.
Me who say if your lawyer is not filing motion for interlocutory injunction, say if you my anybody no, my any funeral no, any celebration, me who be sir, but the writ and I'm home. But I'm saying say by law, by the Supreme Court determine ki expert do for Republic vs High Court Accra expert do for Supreme Court actually say when say obi a file process our court. That's our person court no and number be manner. Say court na granting injunction no, court no granting injunction. And your manner only chrono person court no your manner no. Nobody can proceed unless yes, you should hold on unless the court determines the matter.
Okay.
And say a funny no court na every assembly say na court na chile. These are the orders our court na here.
Okay.
And as it is whether or not say or filing injunction, which I've already indicated that I'm not aware, but I'm speaking based on the rate number huna. Still now, no, we can't proceed.
You should hold on.
We have to hold on.
Okay.
We have to. The court will have to determine whether to say they're mature now. We're making allegations in her claim. Say, on the only surviving spouse. Until I was say, or they are dancing. Eba court a betches and pa. Ebia no need that lumba. I worry 2004. Said you indicate here, no. And this is the marriage certificate. Say, you know, say. As at the time now, only that the lumba, no question no more worry and part under a law in Germany. It is a year under ordinance. And then what it means is that Daddy Lumba could not have married another woman. It is a if why any other form of marriage, it will be a nullity. Lawyers will say it's a nullity. It can't be right unless we are able to say ABS no, even though it was done in Germany, but they perform it under Ghanaian setting. That is ABS Ghana for our and by a ordinance marriage similar to that of what we have in Germany. But if you are I mean customary marriage in Germany but what did I mention?
Yep.
If you are Ghanaian setting, I can customary marriage in a contract or Germany, which means that he could have gone ahead to marry another woman. But yes, something similar to what we have as ordinance marriage. He could not contract any other marriage. In marriage, Biana, that the Lumba contract by law will be a nullity.
And as I said earlier, people are also questioning yes. why are we using German marriage law to come to Ghana? And
you see, there will be a conflict of laws. See, you crowd there are too common. For instance, Abia Wafriha, Wafri Ghana, Waware Udio New Krakotana, UK, Okoya Makonya issues, more invoke UK courts to dissolve the marriage for you because you're afraid be less contractus because less celebrationists maybe more performing more marriage the UK court will be compelled to use Ghanaian laws
because what
you marry under a different legal regime it is different from that of UK and if you are in Ghana UK does not recognize if you are into the Makotran UK as if you are domiciled in UK now. Mokunya issues as husband and wife are more person dissolve marriage, but because the UK courts do not recognize laws, do not recognize customary marriage in Ghana, they will apply laws of Ghana, even though it's a UK court, but they will use the laws of Ghana to adjudicate the matter there because you're celebrating marriage in Ghana. It will use the laws of Ghana to do that, even though you are in UK courts are going to dissolve the marriage, but they will use the laws as we have it in Ghana to dissolve it.
Where you married
to resolve the matter. So many things. For instance, to say Matisse will be so a raise issue say that's more worry with Germany. Adena, or Ghanaian courts. All the parties in our more closest connection here. The marriage is, if let's assume that the Lumba or Ghana, you better na you or Ghana, the BBI or Ghana. Until you can't go to the German court for any because Oko German court, no more could dissolve marriage in Ukraine. Oba, you need to register the judgment of the German court in Ghana. How be we dissolving marriage? The processes have gone on. Until there's no need. Into once all the contracting parties and as and conform more closest connection to the whole issue, Ghana. The Ghanaian courts have the right to assume jurisdiction and then determine the matter. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
I also listened to the funeral chairman of Lumba, Collins. Now, also, say ebusuapanyin
yeah
and say ebusuano
yeah
and I have the right to say when you also yekuna when also yekuna is that it or say nipa na or your wife no and at all times or yekuna?
You see, if he says that can never be right, because everything about marriage, is regulated by law. And he said, if it is a case, I'm choosing my words carefully. If it is a case that the Lumba any Madam Sewano, worry under German law, similar to what we have here as ordinance by law. Look, there's something that let me draw your attention. It doesn't matter if you're master pretty for even 20 years, 30 years. Once omonko court bia Germany, and as a court bia or Ghana say, or more dissolving marriage, it doesn't matter the number of years that they have separated. They are still couples. And it's by law. If it is true, say ampa omoware under law in Germany, similar to the ordinance marriage in Ghana, by law, she is the only recognized person who performing the necessary rights as a widow. No any other person, because if Sedadi Lumba echo contracting any other marriage apart from the one and existing between Onesa Madam no Germany, according to her, Omoware say if it is true, that's a you dissolve that marriage before any quarter. It is that marriage that is still recognized, because won't mean contracting any other marriage apart from that one.
Okay, so with the ordinance now, Uche say
yes,
it can only be dissolved every year after 5 years.
Yes.
So and yes, automatically money one dissolve. As a process.
It was all court. O file a petition. Court say maybe for the last 5 years, 10 years, maintain be done for and because of that, we can no more continue to live as a husband and wife. And the court to take evidence and then dissolve the marriage. You are divorce certificate.
Okay.
Divorce certificate means ampa Wawaria be our contract in 2004 or 1990 between A and B. Court not are dissolving. Now you are no more attached to any other person.
Okay. But it's
by law, the marriage is still subsistent.
Okay.
The marriage is subsistent. It is me fan say the mamena can no crese ampa on no warrior 2004 and the marriage is there. It doesn't matter the number of times or years or more living their separate way. Once among court, Emma court and making pronouncement said the marriage is dissolved, the marriage is still valid. And Daddy Lumba could not have contracted any other marriage if it is the case.
Okay.
Yes.
Lawyer, but I say, and you say your warriors why
well, it depends. It depends. It depends on the type of marriage I per se. Most African men are potentially polygamous, and for me, my observation with cases are, especially when it comes to divorce cases or court, I've come to realize that it is only when they get money that they get what they want. And to be on the safer side now, if you don't want, stick to your traditional marriage. If you get money and then you want to go ahead with any other thing, then you can trigger
but
another
ladies
process.
also do say that the traditional marriage will not also help.
Why? It is recognized by law.
Yeah, but I mean, Osha ordinance no favor more.
Ordinance because you cannot contract any other marriage.
And then again,
what happens if you've contracted marriage under ordinance and you're cohabiting with another lady? Well, of course, the only disadvantage is that ultimately am performing the necessary right of the lady now in cohabiting. But only now, when you recording programs in a way, technically, no, you are there, but I say you are not, because whenever there's any, if you are not there tomorrow, now say any interest, the interest of the kids will be catered for by law.
Now, under the traditional marriage,
yes,
if there's divorce,
yes, it's still the same process.
50-50
whatever process when my be no, it is a traditional marriage or be 2-3 wives. More worry certain period, more acquire properties over the period that will be our interest in the properties. That's how it is. It shall be shared based on the contribution. I mean based on Obia quota property no there. If I buy when you first one motor car and as a must down 3 rooms. Second one must way. Into properties in Obia our interest in any of them.
What if I made properties before the marriage? I know
if you made properties before the marriage, your self-acquired properties, they do not form part of matrimonial properties. It is urban so me say, also a property and a properties before now, one in the area, and forming part of the matrimonial properties. However, if there's a property ebia maye mo mienu nyina maye ebia mo kwaji loan and am de na say montua loan ni wie ya. It does not form part of matrimonial unless it is established that montua loan na wie as a part of matrimonial properties. That is one thing that you have to know.
Somebody is also questioning, say, what is it with kuna for almost say as a asante for, not even with the case of Lumba ne Akosuah Sewana Odoboni. As a asante for edufunu ama sebi obi free ma afini ebe twitwitwi and this is not the first case. It has happened several. I'm sure a lawyer what did you achieve?
Oh yeah, it is true. Me personally, my case is it is not only Ashanti, so my brother, it is dominant within the Akan areas. When I say Akan tribe, no. Because do you know that? Let me tell you. Let me be philosophical here. When him say men. For me, as a lawyer, I will tell you, men are born for women. Do you know that? Especially if you take the bold decision to marry. Do you know that within the account setup, your kids, they are not part of your family? Do you know that?
Yeah.
And you know, wo as a man, to some extent, you are the only stranger in your home. Because if you are not there tomorrow, let's assume say some of us from the account communities are extended family members in school, and then you be through this level now. Ochina bi unni ho ebia want me anya well emergency wawu under road traffic offenses and as a accident wawu under emergency you couldn't even execute any will for your properties. Wawu, we use the PNDC law 111 to share your properties, and about 75% of the properties will go to your wife and your kids. You understand? So what it then means is that all the toil they will not benefit from it. What you can do is that whilst alive, you don't know when your maker will call you. At least you try to do something small for your family. You do what you can for your family. Then you do what you want to do for your kids. So that's a yes, I'm not trying to be free man. Embrano is against you. So technically, no, all the struggles are for struggle, they struggled in vain. Because the most important thing, why do I know more? We'll go and put the body somewhere after burial. That's where the rare issues will start. Because say if what's it dying, it be a 30 bedroom now no you don't know matter. No china be you about the PNDC law 11, they will have it. Well, you have one house, they will have it.
Yeah, the more you talk, the more I get questions because we want to educate people more.
Yes.
You ever say I am married right now, and then I built a house for my mother.
Yes.
My cousin, if you're there, my mom and papa there.
Yeah.
But documentation, me na me din also.
Yes.
Na me ye jaya. I say be me free more.
Yes.
So if you know, I'm say me there by my word of mouth, be a dia to say me there no.
Yes.
Is it still say me never check?
Yes. You see, Emram Rebecca was where there's documentary evidence, there's a conflict between documentary evidence and oral evidence. Documentary evidence and SFI say. To say scenario now the mommy no. What's he dying? Who see dying? No documents they are in your name. No, I catch your mommy say, your mommy there. But once you are not there, there will be nobody to come and say. And remember, when we go to court, the name of the game is evidence. It's about evidence. Into once documents.
Of course.
Into what you do is that, under that circumstance, what you do is that all the bema, all the bechano, no what that was it. All the becho mama no papa, no mad that was in the presence of witnesses. And all the ones that obey Saturday no better was no. When you are not there, nobody can go and claim say odia. What I said to contest that matter in court. Into upa, what the becho no matter was it. Oh yeah, ope and I was for kakra, no more better than no more example. My sit down way now, me papa, and I'm a day of my yama mintino. Me person me the chomo. What the child man no matter was in the presence of witnesses. And no the alternative if you are not there, nobody can contest. But say 1 year Saturday no emremu, emo now I say. Na say documents in your name. It is presumed that there because documentary evidence will suffice over any oral evidence, and people can challenge it in court and be successful.
But let me give an example on this case as well.
Yes.
Right now I am not married, but I have kids.
Yeah.
And then maybe 2 of my houses. Yeah. I'm a man.
Yes.
Say we a first born there. Yeah. We a second born there.
What that child man I say? What that mom? Which is which?
Me that child.
Yeah.
So if I say when I am no more.
Yes.
Of which be 5,000 years to come. Maybe because me near on press and worry na ebushafo ba. No o make say mo now.
Yeah.
But Japadena Enidia.
Yeah.
You have no right over the property. I don't know anything.
You see, what is happening is that once I'm in business, I say, oh, they are child man and so they are mom. Are there any documents that are
the documents are in my name?
They are in your name.
Yeah.
It will not suffice because you see, the law is that so your parents, or your papa, now your property, now the oba, a document. Normally, most people in Ghana do that. Or motor property.
Because I have a car,
the law is presumed that what they manner as a gift.
Okay.
What it is presumed that what they manner as a gift. But so Obano mum eto property, no they will be manner it is not presumed that or they manner as a gift. That's the law. He said, O manner okano. Opa said to be on the safer side.
Okay.
Opa fachomo. What the chomo no matter was it. And as which remember a document to say a document deed of gift. What codified is that the wire will on say these properties A and B, A media chamima, I'm on madam say. So that when I'm not there tomorrow, once you gift it to them, no more dawasina, it is perfect. However, all the more no more dawasia, or more property as a gifter by law, no to me revoke as a father.